Hi, this is William Czakowski, recording for the final week of Promineo Tech Backend Coding Bootcamp on the final project here. My final project was a application that you'd be able to have information about a ski resort and fetch like trail informations, mountain faces, lifts, that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, dive right into it. So we have our application class. This is where it's actually going to launch the application. Our three entities for this specific application are lift, mountain, and trail. Trail is going to be kind of our entity that we interact with the most. It's going to have all four of our CRUD operations, whereas lift and mountain is just going to have our read, our get. Then we have a repository for each of those entities. You'll see that in the trail repository, we have our create, our post, our update, our put, several variations of the find. We can find all of them, or we can find them specifically by ID, difficulty, features on the map or on the trail, and then our delete. Whereas you'll see on our mountain and our lift repository, we only have the find, our read, our get. And so then we have our JDBC repositories that implement those. So for our trail here, you're going to have what would be our SQL for doing the save, the update, the finds, the deletes, all that. The mountain and lift repository just for the finding. And then our controllers. So we have our trail controller here. It's going to be all of our CRUD operations that the user is going to be able to use through the Swagger UI. And then for our mountain and lift controller, it's just going to have those gets. And so, yeah, let's run this baby and go take a look at what it looks like on the Swagger UI. Bam, got that up and running. Sweet. And we're going to switch on over to that guy. And so you'll see now, I think you're seeing, let me double check. Yep, okay. We have our trail controller, our mountain controller, and our lift controller. We'll start with the smaller ones. So this is going to be able to get us all the information for the lifts on the mountain. For my example, I used Taos Ski Valley, and I didn't fully develop this database to reflect everything that exists on this mountain. Just a few examples. So you'll be able to see like, hey, lift controller, we have 2 lifts right now. Taos has, I think, in total 13. But we got lift number 1 here. It's its name. We have like a lift capacity, how many people it can take up at a time, and the mountain face that it exists on. And so it's a foreign key on its table, mountain face number uno. We can also fetch it by ID, but we'll go to the mountain face here, and I can show you that here on mountain face, the ID number 1 is associated with front side. So we know that that lift exists on the front side. So onto the cream of the crop here, the trail controller, which is going to have all 4 of our CRUD operations. We have our get all trails. Once again, we only have a few handful of trails that exist here. So yeah, we have 4 currently in the database. So that's our get. We can also get it by ID if we wanted to. How about we wanted to add a trail. We were looking to develop this database a little further, or hey, maybe even like the resort decided to add on new area. So we're gonna test that function out. So we're gonna say, hey, this is gonna be the next one on our database. Trail name, I'm gonna use a pre-existing trail name. We will do Pastor. Castor exists on the front side of the mountain, and it's a pretty fun little double black. I've done it once. So double black diamond. And some notable features on Castor is it exists in a chute. And if you don't know what a chute is, it's basically where the mountain comes together really close and you go down through it. So we're going to execute that. Trail was created successfully. We can double check to make sure that is the truth by rerunning our get here. And bam, Castor exists. So that's our get, our post. Now we're going to test out our put. So let's say here, Lorelei. Over time, like one of the things that can form on runs are these things called moguls. It's a bunch of like tight little mounds. And it's a feature that a lot of skiers look for or look to actively avoid. So let's say, hey, like Lorelei developed some moguls. So trail ID is number 5 there. So we now trail name is Lorelei. We also know that still a black diamond, so we'll confirm that. And trail feature still has its trees, but it also has moguls now. So we will run that boy, and bam, the trail was updated successfully. And that should be reflected with our get here. You see before it just has trees there, and now it has trees and moguls. And then finally, we have our delete. How about we say that, hey, Castor became too unsafe, that chute high up, like rocks caved in on it. So we don't have to close that run. You can just tell it, hey, like we know that Castor exists as trail ID number 8 here in our database. So we'll just go trail ID number 8 and execute that. And bam, the trail was deleted successfully. And we can make sure that is actually the case by running the get again. And you'll see, hey, Castor's gone. So yeah, that is the API in its current state. In the future, hoping to be able to like map out the trails together and give the user kind of a little bit more what would be the right word for that? A way to navigate the mountain. So this is William Chakowski signing off.